because I've spent most of my career here in Silicon Valley, even before it was called Silicon Valley. But to me, it is the very foundation and the engine of the transformation that David so clearly described and comprehensively described. In fact, I thought he did a wonderful job of really giving you the sense of what is the scope of a true, I prefer the term, intelligent grid transformation. In the dictionary, the word smart is not necessarily what I'd want to put on my electricity system. I don't need a smart aleck. Intelligent, the ability to anticipate and react quickly and successfully to change, is precisely what we need by our power system today. Today, the system is the equivalent of a railroad. It would take 10 days to open or close a switch. All of us would, and even my very young grandchildren would say, that would be the dumbest thing in the world. Yes, it would. But that is the electricity railroad that we have today until we transform it into the 21st century digital system. It is remarkable. In fact, electricity is the foundation for economy and the foundation for the digital transformation. It is the last industry to absorb this. And so I really want to just take a few minutes to talk about what I think are some of the basic issues for the transformation. And first and foremost, going back to what Thomas Edison so wisely said over a century ago, that electricity is a consumer-based enterprise, service-based enterprise. That is exactly right. At his time, the technology didn't exist to do that. But we are today operating a system that still has a technology base of over 100 years old. And the policy base goes back to the middle of the Depression, when we decided that we needed to electrify this country to get out of the Depression. Absolutely right. Creating a monopoly business model to create the infrastructure was the right thing to do. But we finished that job 50 years ago, but we're still operating within that same model, which rewards utilities today continuously for the quantity of electricity they produce, not the quality. And just as Bob Galvin, had the pleasure of working with now and knowing for many years, said, well, that's where telecommunications was 30 years ago. A lot of pent-up innovation and a regulated monopoly business model that has no incentive to innovate. And that's where we are with the utilities today. Not that utilities are bad people. They've done a wonderful job of maintaining this very obsolete power system we have. But the time has long passed that we need to transform, because this system today is literally, through its unreliability, inefficiency, and the jobs that we are losing in this country. We have become the largest exporter of jobs in the world. And a major factor in that is the electricity system and its inadequacy, which not my numbers, but if you take federal numbers and add them all up, you come up that it's costing this country nearly $1 trillion a year. The cost of the transformation of all the technologies that David underscored would be less than $500 million. So the benefit to cost ratio here is immensely large. And if we open the door to allow the great companies here in Silicon Valley and elsewhere to really operate in that market, as they have in the internet, we would have economic benefits that would go tremendously beyond my imagination. We need the electricity equivalent of the internet. You, companies like you, are the ones who can create it if we can open the door and we get the benefit. In fact, that's basically what we are. Today, we're still in a business model whose basic principle is, from the middle of the 20th century, to power and light ratepayers. Today, the business model must be one of empowering and delighting customers. And I'm delighted to see more and more utilities express their frustration and say that we know very little about customers today. And we have no regulatory incentive to consider them anything other than simply ratepayers. So both utilities and customers are trapped on either side of a policy and technology iron curtain that separates supply and demand. Supply and demand must be seamlessly integrated. And you as a customer must be in a position to manage your affairs and your energy use as you see fit, to your best advantage, and you must have the incentives to do so. And as the technology moves forward, you can also be a producer and sell power to the system. So gaining customer acceptance is the key here, is opening the door and engaging through dynamic electricity rates. Most people don't know that the cost of electricity varies by a factor of 10 or more over the course of the day. You knew that, and your systems in your home automation could automatically respond to that. You would save immense amounts of energy and money in the process. 30 to 40% are typically what has been done in the demonstrations. And the technology is there to make that possible. Not to force it down everyone's throat. Not everyone bought a cell phone the day they came out, or a laptop computer, but to open the door and allow the early adopters to have the technology and the means to demonstrate to their families, their friends, to the community, the real benefits here. And that's how we will build this business. Motivating them, people then, these adopters, through savings with totally automated, customer-friendly applications. Not having to look at meters and so forth, but all automatic. As David said, the technology is there. We can do that literally with cell phones. And the internet is certainly the key. And then delighting these users through easy, enjoyable, and fulfilling experiences. That is really the key to what we need to do if we're ever going to achieve the smart grid. The smart grid is not just about, in fact, not primarily about marginal savings in people's electricity bills. It is about the transformation and the creation of jobs in a globally competitive market where we are falling farther and farther behind our competitors. I have the privilege of traveling and moving around the world quite a bit on this topic. And I can assure you that our competitors and our friends, if you will, around the world are much more progressive. They're not doing it perfectly from my perspective. They still have a lot of opportunity to take the lead. But because of their incentives to build their economies, not try to maintain the status quo, they are moving more aggressively in this regard than we are and are going to become the leaders unless we pick up the ball. So the implications, the policy implications here to that, again, I remind everyone that electricity is the lifeblood of our economy, is to focus on customer societal benefits. And policies really, and all of us must stand up and have a common denominator. We may all be competitors. You all be competitors, I'm not. Competitors in the market, but we've got to create this market. The market has to begin by opening it up to have this seamless connection of supply and demand and enabling customers to be customers, not captive ratepayers. So you need to seamlessly supply, connect supply and demand. You need to empower consumers with the rules of dynamic pricing, tools to use that dynamic pricing as they see most effective from their perspective. And we must help utilities deal with the inevitable here because, as I say, the cost-benefit ratio is so large that there's no reason anyone should be pushed out of business. AT&T makes a lot more money today than they did selling black rotary dial phones, although at the time they were absolutely committed to staying in black rotary dial phone business, as many of you will know. And that's where utilities are today because they have no incentive to change. But we need to ensure universal real-time pricing. That's open to everybody. You own that. It's your information. You should have it. You should demand as a customer, this is my information. You have no right to deny me access to that information. We need the ability to have utilities have performance-based rate structures. Again, based on the quality of service, not the quantity of service. Performance-based rates. Where this has been demonstrated in a number of places. San Diego Gas and Electric is a very good example of a utility that is making more money for its stockholders today than it was in the old days, even though it's selling less electricity, because it has determined how to improve the quality of service and get paid for that. Again, it's not going to be the number of kilowatt hours sold, but the quality and value of each kilowatt hour, and is going to ultimately determine the future of our business and the future of our country. And we are focused on distributed generation microgrids because, as was pointed out by David, the distribution system, this is not, the smart grid is not about just meters, which are, frankly, anytime you take any one of these small dimensions and put it in place without the big picture, you're likely to set things back. Smart meter is not a tool for giving utilities more information so that they can raise your electricity bill. It's a tool to allow you to be a partner with the utility in how you use electricity most effectively from your standpoint as a customer. So it's on the local distribution system. We are focusing with communities around the country, a number of which, because they are their, not only their customers, but also their stockholders, one and the same, they have the incentive and are moving rather dramatically to incorporate and move towards what we would call power service. So distributed generation microgrids, which again is pretty obvious, distributed generation allow communities to become key factors. And here in California, a major factor has been community aggregation. It's interesting, local utility here, the city gas and electric spends like $45 billion trying to kill that law at the last general election, and unfortunately they failed. And so community aggregation, and Marin County is leading with this, is one of the three important vehicles to give communities the opportunity to grow their load and develop really most cost beneficial system for their customers and their community. Excuse me. And then finally, retail service competition. This is not, Texas gives for retail competition. Retail competition in terms of value is not fundamentally whether you have 5 or 6 sources to go buy bulk energy. It's do I have the tools? Can I go out and buy from Home Depot or wherever the system or lease it that will allow me to use my electricity most effectively in my home business? That is retail service competition. So I thank you very much for the opportunity to put some of these thoughts out on the table, and I look forward to the discussion and the debate and so forth that may follow as a result. Again, I would say the technology is there today. Technology is not the limiting factor. It is getting all of us who are engaged in this to really demand that the policies would change. This system on phone-line telecommunications is regulated at the state level, and so we have 52 different rules and regulations, sets of regulations and so forth, and a federal government that is very reluctant to step in what they call states' rights. And I certainly am a strong believer in states' rights, but I think we have a federal government to correct states' wrongs. And right now, they are not taking, we need to be beginning a long time ago, we need to really be demanding that standards be set, control requirements be set, to which the states are held accountable. I don't want the federal government to run the system, but I want them to establish the standards of performance, reliability, efficiency, consumer empowerment. We are creating what we call the SmartGrid seal of approval, a set of criteria covering all of these by which municipalities, utilities, and all measure and communicate their, and most of all, the consumer can see what it is. It's in very tangible terms. That's, nobody really cares that much about electricity. We don't know very much about it. We've got to show them what's working and what's not working, that they can relate to, and how easy and cost effective it is. Thank you very much.